Does anybody have any successes to share this week? Scale, non-scale victories, exciting things going on in your business?
I just have an absolute crap load of people I'm talking to right now.
Yeah.
All of whom are saying they want my secret code. So fingers crossed that everybody follows through.
That's awesome, Marla. That's awesome.
I'd take a prayer on all that.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to offer me one.
How many have you signed this month already?
3 so far.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I feel like
sorry.
I've gotten like a ton of people now finally just paying attention and responding and listening. And I don't know. I would love to hear like y'all's language, like or your verbiage, what you're doing. I've not shared it Facebook public, but I've just been messaging people because like I shared today earlier, I just have that list in mind. I have certain people that I'm looking forward to jumping on. And I think I'm down to 3 codes now as of tonight.
That's awesome, Leslie.
That is awesome. I just had my 6th person commit. I haven't officially signed them all, but I have 5 out of the 6. I have specific days and times for me calling them and helping them through the process on the computer. So
yes, girl, that's awesome.
So
proud of you.
And Leslie, I've really just kind of been going back with, I have that list of people that I've been talking to for a while, and it just hasn't been the right time, or and most of them have some sort of medical issue going on. And I've been sharing the heck out of testimonies. I've just been saying, saying something like, hey, if I send you this video on my friend's story, would you be open to watching it? And most of them are like, yeah, sure, why? Mm-hmm. And I'll go find a video from real people, real stories, and I'll save it, and then I'll just let them know, hey, I'm going to add you to this group so you can view this video, but I will be sending it to you personally through Messenger, so you don't have to search for it. Right. And I'll just send them the video, and then that gets their attention real fast at saying, oh, wow, I'm not the only person in the world. And I've just been using the heck out of testimonies.
That's a really good thing. I forget to do that sometimes.
Definitely. That's really good, Alexis. Yeah. And like what you said about timing, I've actually been talking a lot about that with people, and I'll bring that up. Marshall. And like in our initial messages when I'm reaching out to these people that I've talked to, I mentioned timing because I just say, that it was all timing for Jake and I. So I understand if this is not the time, I'm going to pass this on to somebody else. And, I just make sure they know that this is urgent.
For sure. Yeah. The urgency in it is really super important, like the most important thing. And the Bob Heilig stuff we're going to talk about here in just a second, he talks a lot about, utilizing third-party tools and not being the expert, and making sure that you're, sharing that type of information with people instead of just being like, oh, yeah, I can answer all your questions, because that's where the breakdown happens from a duplication perspective, which I'm learning. This is fantastic. I wish I would have learned this 4 years ago, but that'd been great. It'd been real good. But that's awesome, you guys. Super proud of y'all. Don't let any codes go to waste. If I have not personally messaged you and told you the people that you have that have codes, I got the list from Jake. So if I haven't messaged you the people, or you haven't told me that you already had your people, let me know, and I can get those for you. I have the list. So I want to do a little something different with y'all tonight. I am going to share my screen. Okay. And we are going to, can y'all see my screen? Or do you see me?
you so far? Aha.
You see it?
Yep.
Okay. So we're cheating the system here because we all had to pay for legacy leadership training. But this is a short video, and I want you guys to really pay attention to this one because it's amazing. And he talks about systems, and after he talks about these systems, I'm going to talk about our system. But I wanted you to hear why this is so important and why I feel like this is the step that we have missed as a team. And I want to make sure that we really get this one. So I'm going to let Bob do the talking.
We are going to talk about training new people, onboarding, getting new reps started. And my question for you is this. I want to ask you, do you have a simple system that helps new people effectively produce results in their business that you are teaching in your team? You know, last night we had the master class on onboarding, training new people. I introduced what I call the 2-7-30 game plan to each and every one of you. We had a great training. Tons of you were on live. And we're going to spend pretty much the next 30 days are really going to be spent on working with new people and training. And this is a really important topic for each and every one of us, because in my experience, one of the number one areas that I see duplication breaking down for people is training the new person. So we're going to talk about the importance of having a simple system for training today. All right. And for those of you that were on live last night, this will be a little bit of a reinforcement, but that's the whole idea behind training. We have to be reinforcing basic concepts. So what we do here in the group is really an example of how I want you to start training your new people. Here's the first thing I want to say, and this is so critical for every one of you to understand. Before we get into talking about systems, I want you to take a look at yourself and your business. And I want you to understand that the training process for your new person starts the moment you open your mouth to them, not when they sign their rep agreement. It starts from the very first interaction you have with them as a prospect. Now, once you understand this, you start to realize the absolute importance of making sure that you are doing in your own business every day what you know you will be teaching them, what your system tells you to do. Because what we learn is that people, they're not going to do what you tell them to do. They're going to be much more likely to do what they see you doing or what they've seen you do when you introduce them to the business. So, and as leaders, many times it's easy for us to get away from the system, right? We have a tendency to do things our own way. We're not practicing what we preach, what we're teaching those brand new people. And when you do this, it will literally kill the system that you're trying to teach. So questions I want you to ask yourself. Are you still using third-party tools to expose new prospects, or are you making yourself the expert, right? Do you have a written list of prospects that you've made that you work off of every single day? Have you taken the time to identify your why? And do you have clear business goals that you've set for yourself? Are you holding yourself accountable for activity goals, a certain amount of contacts and presentations and enrollments every single week? If you're not doing these things in your business, the likelihood that your new people are going to do them is not very high. So take a look in the mirror and be honest with yourself. Are you part of the problem why your new people are not being coachable and adopting the training that you have? So that's the first step. I could talk about systems. We'll spend a lot of time kind of breaking this down, but unless you yourself are leading by example, you're going to be running uphill the entire time you're trying to do this, okay? So if you follow that same system, then it will edify that system to your new people. If your new people say, well, shoot, Lauren still does exactly what she's teaching us. Well, that must mean that's why she's successful. So it gives people the confidence to know that they can follow that system, okay? But let's talk about systems. So the key to freedom in your business, right? As legacy leaders, that's our first stop in the journey. We want to become free. We want to have time freedom. We want to have financial freedom. We want to fire the boss, quit the job. We want to be able to be full-time in our business. And I will tell you, the key to freedom, to unlocking that, is having a simple system for training your new people. Look, I've heard this statistic before, and I when I think back to my own businesses, I really believe this to be true, that in any organization, anywhere from 75 to 80% of the production in that group is going to come from new people in their first 30 days of business. So think about it. When people are launching and they're going out there and working hard, that's really what drives the production, right? It's easier to give birth than it is to raise the dead. So in that first 30-day period, it's critical that you've got a system in place that can get people into action and maximize production and sustain that growth. And this is also the number one area where I see duplication breaking down, because a lot of new people, they either don't have a system at all, or they have an ineffective system, or they have a system that they're really not teaching. They're not following it. They're not embodying it. And because of that, you're not seeing duplication. Here's a really big lesson that I've learned. You have to learn in your business. You have to learn how to become system dependent, not people dependent. See, a lot of the problems on the teams that I see, people I work with, is everything they do is people dependent. There is no system. It all depends on if I'm lucky enough to be brought into the business by someone that's successful and talented and knows what they're doing, then I've got a decent shot of being successful. But as duplication starts to happen and the team starts to grow quickly, if I get brought in by a new person that just got started last week, and they got brought in by somebody that got started like a week before them, and neither of them are really super talented when it comes to sales techniques and being dynamic speakers, my chances of success are not really that good. And when your business is people dependent, it's always going to break down. But when you have a systematic approach to training your people, and it's not dependent on if that person's talented or successful, just follow the system. It's paint by numbers. Here's the tool. Here's the process. When you start to become more system dependent, what happens is you'll start to see sustained growth and momentum, right? It gives people the confidence to know that they have the tools in place. Like if all you're talking about on your team is the system, like here's an example of how this manifests. Like how many times have you heard someone in a testimonial that they've given talk about, oh my God, I'm so thankful for Jill. I got to work with Jill and Amanda. They were so amazing. They're the reason why I'm successful. Listen, that is like the worst thing a new person can do. Now, it's not that you don't want to thank people, but if all they're doing is thanking the particular people that they're working with and crediting them for the success of their business, that is promoting a people-dependent environment and culture. I want my new person to say, yeah, thanks for Katie and Amanda for helping me, but the reason why I'm successful is the system. All I did was follow the system. See, you got to teach your people to start edifying the system, start creating a system-dependent culture. Now, why is that important? Because me as the new person or me as the prospect, I'm sitting in the audience and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, wow, I can do this. Doesn't matter. I'm looking at the person that brought me and I'm like, well, man, if my success is dependent on you, I'm not feeling all that good about my chances for success. No offense, right? I don't have Katie or Amanda to work with me. But if they're telling me it's just the system, well, shoot, I can do that. I can do A, B, C, D. I know you can help me. You can direct me to the tools that I need. This is why you want a system-dependent culture. Here's the other thing that I've learned. This is really important. The big money in your business is not in the product. I'm going to say that again. The big money in your business is not in the product. It is in learning how to market the product. That is the system, okay? If all you're doing is teaching sales techniques, right? Sell more product, that's fine. You can make money doing that. But you're never going to have freedom. You're never going to have exponential growth. You're never going to have massive momentum, and here's the reason why. Only about 10% of the entire population are sales people, sales types. And if you're teaching sales techniques to grow the business, it's going to break down for you at some point. And so you got to shift to that simple, systematic approach. And it's got to be simple, right? Look, it's easy to make things hard. It takes a lot of work and effort and trial and error and practice to create something that's simple for people to use. If your system isn't simple, people aren't going to apply it. They're not going to use it. So you got to work really hard. And I introduced this 2-7-30 game plan to all of you last night. It is a simple system. And you might not take everything that I give you. You might take pieces, and I'm not saying it is.
Okay, just a second. All right, so I hope that was good for you guys. Like, that was like eye-opening the first time I heard it, and it continues to be because I continue to take a ton of notes. And so last night, as I was looking at some of these things that we have tried to implement in the past, and I kept going back to this whole, like, why is this not taking off? Why is this not taking off? Because it's not talked about enough. It's not implemented enough. Like when Jessica asks me, what is my system? I know what my system is, but I don't think my team knows what the system is. And so I was like, there's the problem. And so I pulled a post last night and I made it on the team page. And that post originated from 2016 from the team page. And a lot of my system comes from people who mentor me, people who I've seen be successful, like Jessica, like Ryan Evans and Carissa Casey and Sunny Rogers or Sunny Keck now, and some of their team pages that I'm on and seeing how they do their duplication. And so I'm not pulling these things, from thin air. This is stuff that's actually worked. And so I know that we want to put our own spin on things, and I think that's great and fantastic. But until you get that momentum going, until you get it in place, until you've got people who are doing the things, we have really got a great skeleton here. I'm totally open as always for any criticism or anything that you guys want to add or think we should put in it. But we have a 7-step process to onboarding our people. And I made it in the post last night, but I want to make sure that you guys know what it is. So I'm going to talk about it. And this is our paint by number. So the very first step in our process is add the people to our team page, the Greater Good team page. And a few years ago, for those of you guys that are new or those of you guys that are watching this replay and are new, we had multiple team pages. Everybody had their own team page. And what we found was that information was just kind of being copy and pasted down and duplicated down. You need to be in your bed.
I can't go to sleep.
Daddy's in our room. Go in there. Way past bedtime. It's 9:30. And those things, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. Somebody remind me what I was saying. Oh, add team page. When we had multiple team pages, there was so much information that everybody was getting lost. And so we consolidated so that way we could make sure that everything was streamlined, and that we could all contribute and that everybody could, get their information in one place. And so it's super important that we add our people to the team page, the Greater Good page, introduce them, make a big deal out of it, because we want to know who you are. We want to know who the people are. We want to say, hey, welcome to the team, and see if you're close to me or if you're close to somebody else geologically, so we can get together. So that's the first step. Step 2 is the welcome post. We have a welcome post every single month that's pinned as an announcement to the top of the team page. A lot of times people will reach out to me, especially my level 1s or level 2s, and they'll say, hey, I've got somebody that's a runner. They want some information on how to get started. Where do I start? And I'll say, did they watch the videos in the welcome post? No, they didn't. Okay, well, guess what? That's going to go over if the products, that's going to go over detox. That's going to go over basic compensation plan. That's our basic list of videos to help people get started, and the ones that are the most simple to help them really take off in the best fashion that they can. So utilize that resource. It's there every single month. The third step is instructions on how to take their products. And this is so, so important. So previously, I would send people all of their instructions all at once. And I would say, day 1, you're going to start with this. Day 3, you're going to go with this, and da, 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 and go through the list of what they bought. I don't do that anymore. You know why? Because if you send them all the instructions at once and then you hear crickets, it's because they've fallen off the bandwagon or they've had massive detox and they feel horrible. And so what I do now is I spoon feed my people. I say, okay, you're going to get your welcome pack in today because we can see tracking. We know when it's going to come in. Hey, you're going to get your welcome pack in today. Tomorrow morning, we're going to start with Slim. I want you just to start with 1 packet of Slim. We're going to do that for a few days. Don't take anything else. I'll check in with you in a couple days. That's it. And then I follow up with them on their next step. For me, it's BioCleanse. And then their next step. And guess what that does for them? That helps them know that they have signed up with somebody that's going to help hold them accountable, that wants to make sure that they're going to be successful, and then they're more than likely going to share with you their non-scale victories. And we can celebrate and reinforce that. And usually what happens first is what I notice is people will say, I didn't need a Diet Coke today. Or, I didn't have to have sweet tea or whatever their vice is. Or I didn't feel it's bloated or whatever. And then you can celebrate that and say, yes, that's common. That's something that we see. That's exciting, and you're helping them through the process. So that's huge. Instructions. Step 4, our resources. We have an amazing resource page in live testimonies, our real people, real stories. And a lot of times people add people to that page when they're prospecting or when they're asking them about, health issues so they can tag them in a particular health testimony, like you guys were just talking about, sending them the link and not making them search for it, like you were just talking about, Alexis. And that's great. So if you haven't already added your people to that, while you're prospecting them, make sure you do after they're part of the team. The 5th step is our 3-way calls with your upline, with your sponsor. And I like to do that as soon as possible. If they cannot get on a 3-way call, I've done a ton of 3-way messages with people. If they can't get on a 3-way message, I'm offering those 15-minute intro calls with myself once a month for our people. That resource is not for me. That is for you. That is for you guys to have. So that way, if you have a person that needs belief built in them or just wants to know what this community is about, it's 15 minutes for them to jump on and hear about it. And so we do that once a month now. But 3-way calls, however you could do it, 3-way messages with your sponsor. It's super important that they know there's a community behind them. Number 6 is our team Zooms. Help plug people into the community. They want to know that they have support. And I think a lot of times we forget that we have this resource, that this is here. And so if we invite people, even if they don't come the first few times, think about how many times you were invited before you actually jumped on a Zoom. Even if they don't come, they know that the invitation is there, that this is when we do it. Here's our calendar. These are the things we have going on. Here's how we can help you plug into our community. No, we did not just sell you a product and leave you alone. Like, this is a resource of people that we'd love to help and share with you. And then finally, the last step is help them craft their first post. Help them share their results. Help them share why they're doing this, especially if somebody jumps on board and they say, that was a huge stretch in my budget to buy that welcome pack. We want to help them come into profit as fast as we can. That way they know that this is something, hey, guess what? Next week we get paid. You buy a welcome pack this week, next week you're going to get paid on that. That's awesome. So let me show you how to come into profit with this business real quick. And so crafting that first post is super important, especially for your business builders. Those are our steps. That's it. 7 steps. And they're posted on the team page too, if you didn't take those notes. And as I said, if there's something that you guys want to add or feel like is too much, I'd love to hear your feedback. Totally open to that. But I do want to make sure that everybody knows that there is a process in place. It has been in place. And I want to make sure that we're, utilizing it the best that we can. So I'm going to hush. Go ahead, Leslie.
Hope by Plexus. I don't know if you mentioned that, but that's a wonderful resource for products.
Yes.
And articles that are not even Plexus related.
Right.
That Amanda is doing. There's some great things on there. Yeah. And about posting, my one regret is that I did not post from the very beginning of our journey. And I feel like my audience missed a lot of that. I just made the decision for them that they wouldn't want to know anything about it, and that wasn't fair. So post whether you have your welcome box yet or you don't. Like, let people know what you're about to start doing, and don't hide it. I mean, you never know who's going to jump with you.
Right. Very good. And I did in the resource step, it can be anything, but Hope by Plexus is awesome. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Well, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I will post the recording. That way we can share this with our teams and anybody that, I think this is just like a weak area for us is duplication for all of us. So I'm super excited with the intentionality that we have now. And, it's kind of one of those, we can't unknow what we know, and now we know. And so our eyes have been opened. So I'm looking forward to changing the trajectory and helping us do big things here. We did not. Amanda has the biggest news in the room. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Amanda's going. Go ahead.
Yeah, but just having a baby and all. That's kind of cool.
It's like the biggest blessing ever.
Yeah, and my doctor loves Plexus.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's good. Yeah, she's looking at some of my blood work, and she's like, your blood sugar is great. Because they tested my insulin and all that, and there's a reason it is.
Absolutely. It's awesome. So good. So good. Okay, ladies, I'm going to pray over us and we're going to be finished. Jesus, I just thank you for tonight and this time on the Zoom and these ladies and everybody that's watching, Lord. I just pray, Lord, that you would help us to be intentional with our time and our business and intentional with the people that we reach out to, Lord, and let us be good stewards of our business and the people you've entrusted us with and their health, Lord. And we're just so grateful for this opportunity and for the community that you've provided for us. And we just are thankful, Lord. More than anything, we're just thankful for these ladies that you've provided for us and gentlemen, Lord, that you've given us to help along the way. And I'm just grateful for each and every one of them, Lord. I just ask that you watch over them and keep us all safe. In your name I pray. Amen. All right, guys. See ya.